Here's a list of director debuts that will blow you away. These filmmakers burst onto the scene with some of the best movies of the last few decades, giving us unforgettable moments and twists that are still unbeaten. So get comfy and settle in. Let's talk about cinematic greatness. And some of these films are seriously underrated, by the way. Starting us off at 10 is I Want to Play a Game. Yes, it's James Wan's Saw, a game-changing horror that still gets under the skin. Wan somehow turned a low-budget thriller into a franchise that redefined horror. And it all started in that one gritty basement with two strangers chained up and forced to survive. The stakes are high, the suspense is unrelenting, and then that puppet on a tricycle rolls in. Talk about iconic. It's brutal, clever, and a masterclass in psychological horror, and that plot twist is still one of the best ever. Sliding in at 9, Ben Affleck surprised everyone with Gone Baby Gone, a gripping crime thriller set in Boston. This isn't just your typical missing person story, it's a mystery with a soul, touching on the grey areas. Affleck makes this film gritty, and the gut-wrenching ending will keep you thinking about it long after. Who knew the guy from Good Will Hunting would have such a knack for directing? Next, we head into deep space with 8, Duncan Jones's Moon. Jones crafted an intense and sad story that follows Sam Rockwell's character on a solo mission at a lunar station. The film creates a tough and lonely atmosphere that'll have you questioning everything along with Sam, especially when he begins to suspect things aren't what they seem. It's sci-fi at its simplest, and it's extremely thought-provoking, with a great twist maybe as good as Saw's. Sitting strong at 7 is In Bruges, one of my favourite films of all time. Martin McDonagh's hilarious yet dark story of two hitmen hiding out in a Belgian town is gold. The dialogue is amazing, the characters are great, and this is what British humour is all about. Ralph Fiennes as the psychotic boss is menacing and hilarious, and the story flips between comedy and tragedy, an absolute must-see for dark comedy fans. I honestly highly recommend this film. At 6 we have Ex Machina, where Alex Garland explores the line between human and AI. When young programmer Caleb is sent to test the robot Ava, the tension builds as he begins to realise things may not be what they seem. The dance scene in this film is a standout moment, eerie, stylish, and unsettling. Garland's debut is great. It's visually stunning and raises all the right questions about where technology is taking us, and we've tragically seen it become reality with people falling in love with AI girls and chatbots. Moving to 5, Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler takes us into the horrible world of crime journalism in LA. Jake Gyllenhaal is at his best, in my opinion, as Lou, a man who will stop at nothing for the perfect shot, even if it means crossing every line possible. The lengths he goes to for a good story are equal parts shocking and fascinating. It's gritty, intense, and Lou Bloom's character will stick with you, a true must-see for thriller fans. And I really hope it's not remotely close to what happens in real-life journalism. 4 on our list is John Singleton's Boys in the Hood. This film is very good, man. It's moving and gives a true look at life in South Central LA. Following Trey and his friends, Singleton brings raw honesty to the struggles they face. At only 23, Singleton captured loyalty, family, and survival in a way that resonates with everyone. Well ahead of its time, and a real classic. If you haven't seen this, you're missing out. Alright, the top 3. These films are legends in their own right, and for good reason. Before we get into the top 3, let's give a shout out to 2 films that deserve a mention. First up is District 9, a sci-fi thriller from Neil Blomkamp that's as much about aliens as it is about social justice. Set in Johannesburg, this story follows Wikus, a human-turned-alien who becomes trapped in the very system that's oppressing the alien prawns. And when Wikus begins transforming, the tension is off the charts. Then there's Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, a comedy debut that catapulted Adam McKay's career. It's endlessly quotable and hilariously absurd, especially the chaotic all-out brawl between news teams. Comedy lovers, if you haven't watched it, get on that. You won't regret it. Now, back to the countdown. Coming in at 3 is Jordan Peele's Get Out. Everyone must have seen this by now. It's a horror film that brilliantly blends social commentary with scares and comedy. What starts as a typical meet the parents trip turns nightmarish for Chris. The hypnosis scene with the teacup is great. Peele manages to make a horror comedy that's razor sharp. poking at issues of race and identity. It's a very fun watch, I have to say. At 2, we have American Beauty, Sam Mendes' take on the dark side of suburban life. I didn't really get the hype the first time I watched this, but on the second viewing, being a bit older, I found it great. The story follows Lester Burnham as he tries to break free from his boring life, but things take a surreal, unsettling turn. Mendes' visuals are on point, and the scene with the plastic bag floating in the wind is somehow simple, beautiful, and oddly scary all at once. This is a story about desire, disillusionment, and the strange beauty in the mundane. And now the top spot goes to none other than one, Reservoir Dogs. Quentin Tarantino is my favourite director. Everything he does is epic for me, but this is truly a debut that is unforgettable thanks to his signature clever dialogue and brutal violence. Following a heist gone horribly wrong, Reservoir Dogs keeps you glued to the screen without even showing the heist itself. That's Tarantino's genius. The ear-cutting scene is a classic moment in all of cinema, and he did that in his debut film. This guy is great. I mean, he made that torture scene seem cool. Tarantino joined us with a bang, and to be honest, he's been great ever since. So there you have it, the top debut directed films from the last few decades. These movies are all absolute must-sees, so if any are missing from your list, get watching. What do you think? Did I nail it, or is there one I should have included? Drop a comment below, and if you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, peace out.